Today, we're going to be looking at Tycho Brahe, or Brahe, a Danish astronomer who made insane astronomical observations. He also lost his nose, had a pet dwarf called Jep, owned an elk, and died from bladder infections because he was too kind to go to the toilet. Tycho lived a very interesting life. Born in Denmark, 1546, Tycho's parents were part of the nobility. He was raised by his rich uncle, and Tycho attended universities in Copenhagen and Leipzig. He first pursued art, but then later transitioned to law and astronomy, as you do. At university, 20-year-old Tycho fought a student, Manderup Parsberg, in a duel to see who was the better mathematician. I mean, I don't know how fighting proves who's a better mathematician, but hey, these lot were smarter than I am. Anyways, during the duel, Tycho's nose was cut off.
Oh shit, what the fuck?
So for the rest of his life, he had to wear a prosthetic nose. His fake nose was made of copper, but he also had a gold and silver nose for special occasions, which I think is pretty based. In 1565, Tycho inherited a fortune from his father Jorgen, who died whilst trying to save the King of Denmark from drowning. He now possessed a fortune equal to 1% of the entire wealth of Denmark. He was a rich boy. Tycho became interested in astronomy after seeing a solar eclipse. He began making his own astronomical instruments and observations, and in 1572 he observed a supernova, which led him to publish his first book, De Nova Stella. Whilst Tycho was a brilliant astronomer, he was also a weird guy. Like I've learned recently, apparently many astronomers and physicists are. Mainly a guy in a wheelchair, you know.
Life could be a dream.
Anyways, Tycho owned a midget who he called Jep. I don't know if I can say midget. He owned a dwarf. Tycho believed Jep had psychic abilities and could predict the future. Jep, how will I die? Piss off. Silly Jep. Jep was also his court jester, and apparently spent most dinners underneath the table. Now, I'm not sure exactly what he was doing under there, but if it's what we're all thinking, then hey man, Tycho has exquisite taste. Anyways, Jep was also the comedic relief at Tycho's dinner parties. They probably all just laughed at him for being short. Tycho also had a pet elk. He was particularly fond of this elk, and when someone asked if they would trade the elk for a horse, he told them to piss off. However, this elk met a very sad end. The elk was sent to a nobleman on Tycho's behalf. The elk ended up drinking a lot of beer. It tried climbing up some stairs but fell down and died. Yep, this is how the elk died. Slipped down some stairs. Pretty sad. Even though Tycho was a joker, as we can see, his observations and accurate data paved the way for Kepler to discover the laws of planetary motion. So, you know, he's regarded as a bit of a legend in the physics community. Now, staying consistent with Tycho's bizarre life, he also met a very bizarre end. Whilst at a banquet in Prague, Tycho needed to go for a number one, aka a piss. However, out of politeness, he refused to go to the toilet during the banquet. This caused his bladder to rupture, and 11 days later he died from holding in his piss. I did not make that up. Apparently that is actually how he died, which is wild. How do you die from holding in your piss? I've tried doing it before and I just wet myself. You definitely didn't need to know that. Okay, I've gone off topic. However, that's not where his bizarre death ends. Later on, researchers examined his body and found traces of mercury/toxic substances on his moustache. Now this leads to two possibilities. The first one being that Tycho accidentally drank mercury during one of his experiments. I don't even know how he's managed to do that, if that is true, so fair play. The second possibility is that he was murdered. But who would want to murder Mr. Tycho Brahe, or Brahe? Well, apparently King Christian VI is a prime suspect because, well apparently, allegedly, Mr. Tycho had an affair with the king's mum, aka the Queen, which meant she cheated on Christian's father, the king. And so Christian was pissed off about this and ordered Tycho to be assassinated. Now, this theory does have legs. However, my personal theory as to who murdered Tycho is Jep.
That bombshell, it's time to end. Thank you very much for watching. See you next week. Good night!